One of the nice things about having done this program for 14 years now is the relationships you build, important relationships. And you get to know people and you get to appreciate people. One of those people is the next guest, Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne of Texas. She's up early today to talk to you and me, and I appreciate it. Congresswoman, thank you for being here.
It's great to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, you said it's going to be 87 degrees in Texas today. Not here, yes. I can assure you.
You were saying it's cold this morning, huh?
Yeah, we haven't had a killer frost yet, but we're right on the edge of it now. Southern Michigan, the leaves are turning. It's a beautiful time of the year, but it is cool, 32 degrees. Gets chilly. Anyhow, chilly might describe the conversation between Democrats and Republicans in Washington right now. Look, the Democrats have now voted 10 times to not open the government. They did it 13 times with clean resolutions during the Biden administration. They did it again in March 14 times. And yet somehow now they're refusing to have a conversation because they're demanding that the subsidies for Obamacare, which is an abject failure, it always was intended that way. Here we are with a failure of Obamacare. They're demanding results right now. They're holding the country hostage, in my estimation. What do you think?
No, I would agree with you 100%. I mean, and these are the same Democrats who voted for these deadlines, who voted for these expiration dates for these subsidies. And let's face it, what have the subsidies yielded for people who are paying for health insurance? They've had their premiums increased by 86%. People are paying more and they're getting less quality, less access, just more cost. But who is profiting? Health insurance companies by the tune of 230%, all while denying a third of all claims. So the idea that Democrats are somehow helping people with health care is absolutely not right. Basically, what Democrats are doing is saying, we want more government subsidies to go directly to insurance companies. Let's open up the government. We can negotiate it. But what they are forcing upon, the Republicans in the Senate to open it is they want to have an additional, and get this, it's 6-week stopgap. They want to add an additional $1.5 trillion to spend.
Right. So here's the thing. The notion that somehow these programs are immune to fraud and that there are no illegals taking advantage of these programs, that is ridiculous. Look, we did a story here yesterday. A police officer was arrested in suburban Chicago. Why? He's an illegal alien, serving as a police officer with a gun and a badge in the state of Illinois. So if somebody can get that far, I mean, it's completely illegal for an illegal alien to have a firearm. I mean, it's a felony. So here's a guy serving as a police officer committing felonies every time he goes to work. The idea that we're not being subjected to fraud by illegal aliens, including in healthcare, it's absurd, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and they've admitted this. I mean, you listen to some of Gavin Newsom's interviews, and he readily admits that they are writing checks for healthcare for people who should not be here, or here illegally. And I think most Americans find that disgusting. That's just why they voted for President Trump in November. They wanted to see a stop to that. The other thing that they're fighting against is, the work requirement for Medicaid, saying that people who are getting that benefit, who are getting taxpayer-funded dollars, for that benefit, need to do something for 20 hours a week. They either need to go to training, they need to volunteer, they need to look for a job, or they need to work 20 hours a week. It's not that much that they're asking for able-bodied Americans to go and get a job. This is something that the Democrats are fighting against. And I think they're just trying to find their way to, whether or not it's defending folks who are illegally here, defending folks who would rather sit on a couch than just go and volunteer, defending criminals. This is where Democrats have come to. And, you look at the shutdown, and ultimately, why are we in the shutdown? Because Schumer does not have the backbone, does not have the guts to be able to fight against his own socialist, Marxist, far left, popular Democrats like the AOCs and the Bernie Sanders, who really had a cringe fest the other night. I don't know if you watched it, but oh man, was that just not, ugh.
Yeah, it was a ratings failure, by the way. I can't imagine why nobody wanted to watch that mess on Chicken Noodle News, but they didn't. As we look at other things going on, though, I mean, big things are still happening. Donald Trump working, we talked about this just before you came on. 79 years old, working, burning the candle at both ends, getting things done, whether it's peace in Gaza. He's setting up a meeting with Xi Jinping at the end of the month. He just announced yesterday he's going to meet with Vladimir Putin. So despite the Democrats and their only position is we hate Trump, right? That's all they've got. It's not working. Donald Trump's still working every day, isn't he?
Well, to your point, this is something that they have voted for 13 times when Biden was president. This continuing resolution. Why now all of a sudden? Because it's Trump. And Trump is not allowing this to slow him down at all. I love people on my social media feeds who are like, "Oh, he's on the golf course." Have you seen the deals that he has been able to force through? Trade deals, peace deals. Look who he just got out of captivity in Gaza and brought back all of those Israeli hostages. This is a man who was working nonstop. He also has an administration right now during this shutdown working to make sure that our military is getting paid, working to make sure that the most vulnerable in our society, under who have WIC benefits, that those are still being funded. They are trying to turn over every single stone of dollars to make sure that those who most need it are getting it. Not getting any credit for it, by the way, by the mainstream media,
No, of
but
course
he's
not.
actually doing the work. He's actually doing the work, and like I would love to be able to get back to work. I think our Democrats who are continuing to vote to shut down the government, keep the government shut down, have a problem. But the others of us who right now would love to be able to pass, a lot of the legislation that we've got in there, would love to be able to debate it, who are being, forced not to do that because we don't have our government open right now, are back in our districts and we are working. We're back in our districts. I'm making calls and calls, which we normally don't have time for, to try to get support for some of these bills, or meeting with our constituents, or seeing how it's hurting people firsthand. We're not going to stop working for the American people, for those people who, need it the most. But Democrats, get your ass back to work.
That pretty much covers it right there, now, doesn't it? I want to ask about one other thing. We only got a couple of minutes here, but I want to ask about one other thing. Democrats going crazy. John Bolton, 18 counts of violating the Espionage Act for disseminating information to, I believe, his wife and daughter, texting classified information, keeping more than 1,000 pages of documents he was not entitled to have for his own personal gain, to use for his own books, and apparently to share with others. This is a very serious thing. 26-page indictment, 18 counts on the Espionage Act. This is not retribution. This is holding people accountable for putting our national security at risk. Yes or no?
Absolutely. And you think about who should know better. Absolutely, Bolton should know better. While the hypocrisy of holding others accountable for your sins is popular in Democrats, Bolton should know better. And I think you got to hold accountability. This man had way too much access to way too many, really, really sensitive documents that this has been allowed to exist and happen for a number of years. And why is he doing it? I don't know. But you have to hold accountability. And again, nobody is above the law.
I agree with that. Isn't that what the Democrats say? Nobody is above the law, so let's hold these people accountable. And I think John Bolton is in some real jeopardy here. 18 counts, like I said. Beth, I always appreciate you being here. Thank you for taking the time.
It's great to be with you, and I hope you have a great weekend. Keep doing
You
what
too.
you do.
Enjoy
I
Texas.
really appreciate it.
87 degrees,
Thanks.
tanning weather in Texas today. Anyhow, thank you very much. All right, there you have it. Like I say, the relationships you build. You can have great conversations, get some insight. By the way, I'm soon going to have my hard pass to Capitol Hill and the Pentagon. So I'm going to be traveling to Washington a bit more, talking to people like Congresswoman Van Duyne when I can, and keeping you as the best informed audience in media today. Radio, television, streaming, podcast, all of it. And the real spark plug to all of it, Ivy. She's up next. I'll be right back.